Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and here I am back with a new interesting topic to talk about. I'm pretty sure that you're all excited to see what I have with me today to discuss with you, to share with you. I want to share with you the information, the history of a mouse. Yeah, I was in this evening. I was just simply thinking about a mouse. When I was using it, a random thought came to my mind. How the idea, how some device known as mouse came to the existence. How was the conception of that idea? Uh, it was just a random thought, and it just took away my curiosity to the next level. I just wanted to know how it was made, who brought up this idea, and what was the problem it intended to solve at that time. Okay, let's get started. So, in the early versions of the computer, there was no GUI, which is graphical user interface. So, graphical user interface today enables millions of people to use the computers interactively and effortlessly. As, please think about it. If there was no GUI, people still would have to use a computer by typing commands and all. People wouldn't be able to see the graphical interface or use a mouse, or use or drag and drop or do any kind of thing. Yeah, just think about it. We couldn't imagine a world with a computer which doesn't have a GUI. So it was the GUI which enabled people, which enabled the mass adoption of the computer, which made it user friendly even for the non-technical people. Yeah. So I want to reveal to you how mouse actually helped people to get adapted with GUI, how it resulted in the massive widespread of GUI. So as I told you earlier, people were typing out the commands and just using the command prompt to interact with the computer. But it was for common people it was very difficult, and thus the GUI was built. But there was a problem. How could people navigate through the GUI? How could people move the cursor or click on something or do something else? So it was this problem just intended to be solved by a new device known as mouse. Initially, the mouse was developed using a wood, and there was only one button. And but with the technology, with the advancement in materials, we now started seeing mouses, modern developments in mouses and all. So anyway, everything started with wood. Yeah, the first mouse was built with with wood. That's the thing. And then people started using this mouse to navigate through the GUI of the computer, enabling them to click, drag, and scroll through the GUI, which enabled people to actually use the computer effectively to solve the actual problem they had. They could easily navigate through the computer. Now it became more user friendly, and people could actually use it in a better, intuitive way. So that was how that was the problem that mouse intended to solve during the beginning times. And later, different technologies were introduced based on which new kinds of modern mouses were developed. So I will list down the main technologies based on which the current mouses work. So in earlier days, especially in 1990s, there was a kind of mouse known as mechanical mouse, which had a ball, and as we move the mouse to the floor, as through the table, this ball would rotate in x and y axis. There will be direction. The ball will move in horizontal and vertical direction, and based on these movements, uh, these movements will be processed, and this processing will result will lead to an understanding of how the cursor will move in the GUI. It was the first, it was the type of technology behind the working of the mouse during that time. And it was later the optical mouses were introduced. The optical mouse is a mouse which works based on the principle of the light. Yeah, that's why it is known as an optical mouse. An optical mouse used the principle of light. It emitted some amount of light, and as the user moves the mouse, there will be reflection. There will be changes in the angles of reflection of these lights, and there was a CMOS sensor which is kept inside the mouse, and this takes thousands of images of this reflected light, and based on these images a lot of processing will be done, and as a result of this processing we will accurately get how the mouse changes, how the mouse is moving in particular direction. So it was this thing, so it was the late advancement in the technology of the mouse and how the mouse processed or how mouse interpreted the direction, the change in the direction of the cursor that the user intended to implement in the screen in the GUI. So this was how everything was done, and the technology of the mouse kept evolving. And then at the end of the, and now currently most of the mouses are working based on opticals, which is based on light. So and even in that, most of the mouses are working based on red light and infrared light. Yeah, yeah. I have some friends who said it. Oh, my mouse is working without light. Actually, it is working based on infrared light, infrared radiation. In the case of other people with red light, it is working based on red light, which has a slight more frequency than the infrared radiation. So yeah, this is how the modern mouses work. And after the optical mouses, even laser-based mouses were introduced. The laser-based mouses work on the principle of lasers. Yeah. So in the case of lasers, so there will be the laser will be emitted by the mouse, and the reflected laser will be interpreted and analyzed to detect the movement of the cursor in the GUI. Yeah, that is how the modern mouses work, and that's the principle behind the working of a mouse. I really believe that you got a better idea of the behind the working of a mouse, because it was at the evening. I really came to think about the mouse in such a way, because I never cared about it. I was using it regularly, and I never cared about the marvelous thing that I had in my hand. Even look at the things around myself, everything. I take it for granted. I never truly appreciate the value of the things that I have around me. But now I realize that not that everything is valuable. Everything around me, all the services and technologies that I have around me is a result of work of millions of people. It is the creativity, it is the work done by those millions of people. It is their work, their hard work, which resulted in such a kind of great thing. So yeah, I realize the great work done by the forefathers, by the people who lived in history, who lived and died in history. It is their work, it is the accumulation of the work and the studies which has resulted in the current technologies that I have around myself. So I'm truly grateful to all of them, and truly impressed, truly marvelous, truly appreciated, truly appreciative about the technologies that I have around me. So yeah, that's how the things are, and I hope and I hope that you really got a better understanding of these devices and technologies. And I wish you a better day, a better life. It's just go on continuing studying. Okay, see you, man, later.